Hello, everyone. My name is Kelly King. I am the women's minister at Quail Springs Baptist Church in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And I have some really great friends with me today, and we are going to talk about how the Cooperative Program impacts women in ministry. And so I'm going to have them introduce themselves. So we're going to start with Carolyn Fountain. So Carolyn, thank you for being here.
And thank you, Kelly. I'm Carolyn Fountain. I reside in Monroe, Louisiana, where I serve at the Well, which is a church plant. And I also serve at the Women's Learning Center at the Baptist Children's Home, helping to equip young women to take their GED.
Awesome.
So that's the exciting thing that I'm doing now. Just finished serving as state president in Louisiana, WMU. So.
Great. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Emily Dean, and I serve as Assistant Professor of Ministry to Women at New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary and Level College. So I get the great privilege of helping prepare women for ministry leadership, and I also serve as the faculty advisor for our Society for Women in Scholarship.
Hey, I'm Sara Robinson, and I serve the Kentucky Baptist Convention as the Women's Ministry Consultant. And I get the privilege of helping train and equip women across our state, kind of in two categories. One is ministry to pastors' wives, helping them flourish in their roles, and then also training and equipping women for service who serve in leadership in ministry to women.
Thank you so much. So one of the things that we want to talk about specifically is how the Cooperative Program has impacted women. And all four of us have greatly benefited from the opportunity to attend seminary. And Emily, I know that's kind of your wheelhouse, but all of you have been impacted from that. So tell us how the Cooperative Program can help women attend different levels of education.
Absolutely. So we have women studying at the undergraduate level, the graduate level, and the doctoral level. And women who are members of Southern Baptist churches, they get the opportunity to study at a reduced rate of tuition. And so it really makes seminary education affordable for women. A lot of women feel like seminary education might be inaccessible to them, but the Cooperative Program greatly helps women who desire to pursue theological education and just makes it a little bit more feasible and accessible for them.
Exactly. And Sara, you just finished your PhD last year. And so did you even think about the Cooperative Program when you started seminary education, or how did that impact you?
Well, as I was looking at institutions to attend, I was comparing cost, because there's a cost to attending seminary. And I was delighted when I found out that the Cooperative Program did give a discount for those Southern Baptist church members attending a Southern Baptist seminary. And so that was part of my decision to attend New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. And it was a great delight and a benefit for me to be able to do that and finish my degree. But now, Kelly, you were at Gateway. You finished your doctoral degree too.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that was also a benefit to you.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm so grateful for Southern Baptist, because they do help us really be theologically trained. And I think especially when you look at women who are really feeling called towards missions, and like Carolyn, you've been a part of WMU and you've seen a lot of women that have, and even this morning when we had the IMB sending service, you see a lot of even single women who are being called to really difficult places. And so talk a little bit about how women are impacted by the Cooperative Program and when they're called for missions.
Well, I know when Leroy and I were called to Alabama and I was asked to serve as campus minister in Alabama, I couldn't serve because, I started out, but I couldn't be considered full-time because I had not gone to seminary. And thankfully, New Orleans Seminary had an extension nearby, so I was able to go to seminary and complete my service in Montgomery as campus minister.
Yeah.
So, and that's the benefit that the Cooperative Program allows for women who are called to ministry.
Mm-hmm.
They can pursue their higher education and degrees through the resources that the Cooperative Program provides.
I'm really glad that you brought up collegiate ministry, because we have a lot of women in different areas of our country that are serving in collegiate ministry. Have you been impacted by that, either one of you guys, when you've been part of that? Or
Well, I've had the opportunity to serve women who are serving in collegiate ministry through leading breakouts and different areas of events like Collegiate Week, and so I have gotten to talk with a lot of those ladies, and it is a blessing to see what God is doing in and through them, and especially as they've been able to receive seminary training, particularly, again, just the cooperative program dollars have really been able to support their positions that they're serving in, but also the training that they've received as well.
And I would say throughout Kentucky, our BCMs also have young ladies serving in collegiate ministry roles. And those young ladies are benefiting, again, from the funding from the cooperative program that is supporting the roles that they're serving, no matter what university they're at. And it's helping them discern their calling and fueling the next generation of ministry leaders.
yeah.
And I need to add that my daughters were also recipients of a missionary kids scholarship when they were in college. And so, again, the cooperative program at work. And
At
we
work.
were not even aware that there was a scholarship through NAM that helped them with
That's
college.
wonderful. Now, Sara, I've been in a similar position as you in a state convention, and we receive cooperative program dollars through the state, and it goes on through, to the national organizations and our entities and seminaries. But talk a little bit about state conventions and how we equip women to be called, to be trained for what God has called them to do, whether it's the local church or in the marketplace or wherever they are.
Certainly. So, part of the privilege I get is to help with training and events for women throughout our state. Many of you might not have known that Lifeway just produced a big research study on the state of ministry to women that came out last year, but we learned that a predominant amount of women's ministries are led by volunteer women throughout the nation. I know in Kentucky, I would say 98% of our women's ministries are led by volunteer leaders, and some of them might have a small budget, some of them may be using their own budget money or raising funds, but at Kentucky, we're able to help equip women for ministry by providing resources, providing training events, by traveling the state and doing consultations. Some of those are entry level. How do you start a ministry to women? And we're able to pay my travel budget, for me to go to that church in rural Kentucky and help them look at their context and design a ministry that's going to benefit their community and their church and help equip the women in their church to build the kingdom.
Awesome. I'd love to hear from all of you. When you think about how can women champion the cooperative program in their own leadership, is there any kind of practical ways that women can be pro-CP wherever they are in their local church?
I think we can take every opportunity to share the programs that we're involved in that are fueled by the cooperative program funds. I mean, I remember a time when at the bottom of the program they would have funded by the cooperative program. So I think as often as we can share, how our programs are funded, our leadership trainings and other programs, I think that would be a big help.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Just any way that you can educate women on just how to participate through their giving and helping them to see what that money goes to and how those funds are being used, I think goes a long way when they realize that these are actual people who are being served through these different programs.
I think, too, telling the stories of how CP has impacted us throughout our lives, we have to become that chief repeating officer. My earliest memories of wanting to be in ministry were in GAs, sitting on a carpet square and hearing the stories of missionaries and how they were serving around the world. And so we can't cease telling our stories. We have to continue telling of how we've been equipped, how we've been raised, how the cooperative program has fueled our own personal journey in ministry, and then encourage other young women coming along behind us to do the same thing.
Okay, I'm going to throw you all a curveball that you're not prepared for, but can you think of maybe a woman in your past, like you saw their leadership, and maybe they modeled what it looked like to be a leader in ministry? Was there someone that you looked at that you thought, okay, I want to learn how to do that maybe challenged you? I know, I'm putting you on the
There's
spot, Carolyn.
so many.
Yeah.
But I just still credit my grandmother for
Aw, yeah.
just teaching me how to do missions, how to be a missionary, how to serve the people in my community. She's gone on to be with the Lord now, but gosh, I remember her just being my role model for missions.
That's awesome.
I would agree. Actually, I was going to say my grandmother as well. Definitely set the example for me of what it was to really lead and serve women through the WMU and through just teaching women about missions in the local church and also teaching the Bible in the local church. And so I'm just grateful for the example that she set when I really didn't realize that she was setting that example for me until much later in life. But she was just doing what the Lord was leading her to do and being faithful. And I have greatly benefited from that example.
I think for me, it would be a lay leader in the local church, where I most recently served a lady by the name of Teresa. She was a Sunday school teacher. She served on committees. She was a faithful giver to the Cooperative Program, and she really wanted to invest in the next generation. And so learning and watching as she served the local church really impacted me and challenged me to kind of up my leadership in the local church. She wasn't doing it for fame. She wasn't trying to write a book or anything. She was just serving because she loved the Lord and wanted to be a good leader. And when she stood before the Lord one day, wanted to be able to say that she had done what He'd asked her to. And so that really impacted me.
Yeah. I know we have a lot of history when we look at women who have led in the Southern Baptist Convention. We see a lot of roots in Women's Missionary Union. Now, we also understand that it has always been an auxiliary and it has not been a recipient of any CP dollars. But there's been a lot of studies that show if you have missions organizations in your church and you talk about this, that the percentage of CP giving in the church goes up. So I know, Carolyn, you've been passionate about that for years. So can you kind of speak to that?
Well, it was interesting for me, not coming from a Southern Baptist background, to learn about the Cooperative Program, and I thought it was the best thing that I'd heard, as far as ministry and completing your ministry. But the Cooperative Program was promoted initially by WMU, I think, and got it when it started. It was WMU women who made those sacrifices to give to the Cooperative Program. So, and that has carried on even until now. That churches with WMU or with missions organizations give more to the Cooperative Program.
Well, and I would say that, again, as they mentioned this morning in one of the meetings, that's really why we were organized. And so I feel like Southern Baptists are eager to support missions. And so the stronger our missions emphasis is in a church, the more I would definitely see that people would be willing to give. And even with seminary education, of understanding how many of our missionaries come and prepare and train and are benefited by those, not only dollars for support when they go on the field, but support for training as well.
Kelly, the Cooperative Program, I would be remiss if I didn't share. It started at First Baptist Church of Murray in Kentucky.
There you go.
And
okay.
we're very proud of that.
Yeah.
But, as our teammates at the convention have really been championing that and telling us the stories of the birthplace. Where did it start and how has it grown? And again, I would just say we have to continue telling the stories. We have to continue talking about the way that the Cooperative Program has fueled ministry, has raised up kingdom leaders, and continues to do that in our current day.
Yeah. And we get to celebrate 100 years next year of the Cooperative Program, and I'm excited to see how women benefit from all of the things that churches so faithfully and our members so faithfully give, and how we equip women to live on mission for the Lord. Thank you all so much for joining us today on this discussion.
Thank you, Kelly.